In today's video, we will be exploring Vernazza. And if you saw last week's episode, you already know, Monterosso was our first stop of our Cinque Terre tour. But today, things get a little messy. We're heading to Vernazza, the second village in Cinque Terre. And spoiler alert, nothing prepared us for what was waiting there. Like, imagine stunning views, pastel houses, dramatic cliffs and, about a village with no more than 900 people, but with literally thousands of tourists visiting. Oh, and there's a train strike tomorrow. So guess what? Everyone's cramming their dream Italian vacation into today. We're slipping through hidden alleys, climbing ruins, chasing views, dodging waves. And I'm seriously asking myself, why do people say Vernazza is the most beautiful of the five? So we hopped on the train from Monterosso to Vernazza. It's like a 5-minute ride. But in those 5 minutes, I made 3 life observations. 1. Italians are extremely punctual, except when they're not. 2. You can fit way more people into a train than you think, if everyone just collectively gives up on personal space. And 3. I definitely should have skipped that second espresso. We stepped off the train and it was like entering a live-action movie scene, and it was chaos, I mean actual chaos. It was so crowded that we felt a little overwhelmed. So we did what any slightly overwhelmed traveler would do and we looked for an escape. We turned into a random alleyway that looked like it might be a mistake. Well, you know the kind, with walls so close, you could high-five yourself. I was 90% sure it led to someone's private kitchen, but instead, it opened right up to the sea. And just like that, it felt like we'd unlocked a secret. And the sea right there, restaurant tables hugging the edge, people casually sipping white wine, like it's not even 11 a.m. But don't let the wine fool you, because this wasn't a gentle coastal breeze. Instead, this was full-on Poseidon drama. Trees were bending, like they owed someone money, and the waves were crashing against the rocks, like they were mad at the world. But right there, tucked in the corner of this chaos, was a beautiful old stone church, calm, grounded, quiet. And somehow, in the middle of all this wind and noise and crowds, that's exactly where we were headed next. This is the church of Santa Margherita di Antiochia, and she's been standing there since the 1300s, just casually watching the drama unfold for, like, 700 years. We stepped inside and suddenly, it's silent. Like someone pressed mute on the outside world. But of course, the moment we stepped out, it was back into the chaos, with the angry sea. Yet, just next to the church, there was a staircase. Not marked, not fancy, but just stone steps that look like they're waiting for someone curious enough to climb them. So we did what we always do and we climbed. Because, when in doubt in Italy, we always follow the stairs and they usually lead somewhere epic. The church is built right into the rocks, with this unique octagonal bell tower that practically leans into the sea. From the stairs, we could see the other side of the village, and we will be visiting that tower later on, so make sure you stick around. Have you ever found one of those staircases that looks like it's private, but you climb it anyway, because you're already halfway up before your brain kicks in? The path kept going, twisting behind buildings, cutting through what looked like someone's backyard. But instead, we reached this narrow spot that clings to the edge of the village. And if you look around, you can see the landscape dancing around you. Right ahead is the hiking path that leads back to Monterosso. The rooftops, the harbor, those wild waves doing gymnastics. It's all there. We stopped here not because we were tired, but because this view was simply unreal. You could see the whole village, with the stacked houses in yellow and peach and rose. After spending 10 minutes here, we decided to head back, and our aim was to reach the tower which you saw earlier. We walked down from the side path, back toward the waterfront. The waves were insane, and I'm talking full, dramatic crash boom movie scene energy. And it was like the sea was personally offended and just needed to scream about it. We walked back through that tunnel, and I noticed how sharp and rough the rocks were, and it made me wonder if these were somehow also carved by those waves a long time ago. Now, let's go get some close-ups of these waves slamming against the rocks. A few tourists were cautiously filming from a distance, while some more brave ones were right in front, almost like a welcoming party. And we stood there, just watching. No filters, no music, but just that raw power. Have you ever seen waves so intense that you start mentally preparing an escape route? And yet, the scenery was beautiful. The contrast of this moody, crashing waves with Vernazza's sweet little pastel houses behind it. The water kept smashing into the breakwater wall like it owed it money, and every time it did, this huge spray shot up into the air like fireworks. This reminded me of Nazaré, a small town in Portugal, known for its record-breaking waves. I have previously made a full tour of Nazaré, and if you want to watch the video, the link is up here and down below. Honestly, I could have stayed here and watched the sea for hours, but curiosity, and the tower looming above us, pulled us onward. So, we followed the little path that snaked up toward the castle, and it was really so narrow, that even I found it hard to squeeze through. And as we climbed higher, the view started to open up, despite the path closing in on us. The walkway was now so narrow that I was beginning to imagine my husband getting stuck and unable to continue further. And then the path got darker, and I felt like we were walking into a cave. Luckily, as we turned the corner, we saw light in front, and we pressed on. The uphill stone path, squeezed between old buildings, with sunlight and shadow playing off the walls. We squeezed past shuttered doors and laundry drying over your head, and even the whole thing feels like you're walking through someone's backyard, but no one stops you. Because here in Vernazza, well, that's just life. This isn't the Instagram part of Vernazza. This is the real part. But do not worry, because I will also bring you to the Instagram part of Vernazza, and you just need to be patient. We are finally reaching the castle. I say castle, but don't imagine a Disney turret. And it's more like a weathered old watchtower, with attitude. Still, it's one of the oldest structures in Vernazza, and it has seen things. There is a small entrance fee of €2, and then you can access Doria Castle. It's called Doria Castle, named after the noble Doria family who basically ran this region like bosses back in the day. The climb was short but steep, and we could feel it in our legs, especially since we have already been dodging crowds and rogue waves all afternoon. But the moment you step onto that open terrace, yeah, it's one of those views. You are greeted with wide panoramic shots from the terrace, and with Vernazza below, the sea stretching out, the terraces carved into hillsides, and the church bell tower rising up from the village. You've got the whole of Vernazza laid out beneath you, and just listen to this. There's the church, the tiny harbour, the rooftops, so close together, you could hopscotch across them. And then there is the tower in the middle, and let us climb it. The spiral staircase made me feel dizzy, but I pressed on. I wanted to show you the top of the world. In front of me, vineyards roll up into the hills like green waves, and to my left and to my right is endless sea. I think we are at the highest point of Vernazza, and I know this from the burn in my calves and in my legs. So now, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button if you have not done so yet, and make sure you leave me an encouragement comment after. This is the highest point in Vernazza, and honestly, well, it's not just a view, it's also a reward. Like I said, you've got the whole of Vernazza laid out beneath you, like someone poured a basket of Easter-colored houses down the side of a cliff. Oh look, this is Corniglia in the background, and it's sitting proudly on its own little clifftop like it doesn't need a beach to be fabulous. Vernazza has maybe 800 full-time residents, but in summer, this number swells to thousands. It's remote, it's delicate, and it's still standing, despite storms, pirates, and way too many daytrippers with selfie sticks. Would I live here? Honestly, only if I could have a balcony, a wine cellar, and strong knees. How about you guys? Would you live here full time? Or just visit and leave with the fantasy intact? After soaking it all in, we took the narrow spiral staircase back down. But before we head down, let's talk about Vernazza for a second. Because if you're watching this and thinking, where even am I right now? Don't worry, you're not alone. Most people can barely point to Cinque Terre on a map, let alone say which of the 5 towns they're in. Vernazza is one of 5 ancient fishing villages, strung along the rugged Ligurian coastline of northern Italy. And the whole stretch is called Cinque Terre, which just means 5 lands. It's remote, cliff-hugging, and kind of a logistical nightmare to get to, but that's exactly why it's still so magical. You can't just drive up here and park. To reach it, you either take the train, hike in on foot, or arrive by boat, that is if the sea's not trying to murder you, like today. Most visitors, like us, take the train. And once you arrive, you're in it. And there's no outskirts in Vernazza. So, you step off the train and you're instantly in the postcard. Now, time to unwind, finally sit down, and do what every sensible traveler in Italy eventually does. We were here at this amazing spot called the Deck, to grab a drink with a view and to try and make sense of everything we have just experienced. The Deck is a little bar tucked high up on the side of the village. And it's hard to find, easy to love, and with amazing Aperol Spritz. From up here, Vernazza looks like a painting that someone forgot to frame. Vernazza covers an area of about 12 square kilometers, but here's the twist, because the actual village, the part people visit, is tiny. We're talking less than 1 square kilometer of walkable space. The rest is all steep hills, vineyards, olive groves, and protected coastline that makes up the Cinque Terre National Park. The village dates back to around the 11th century, and unlike some other Cinque Terre villages, Vernazza was a real naval and trade hub. It's also the only Cinque Terre village with a natural port, which is why you'll see the colorful fishing boats lined up like they've been posing for artists for 100 years. The village itself is basically one main street, where we are now, and a bunch of winding staircases pretending to be roads. So what did we actually take away from this wild, windy, stunning little village? First, Vernazza is a vibe and it's not perfect, and it doesn't try to be. Second, don't skip the corners, the hidden alleys, the unmarked staircases, the dead end that isn't actually a dead end. And third, you absolutely need to try the fried seafood when you visit Vernazza. And lastly, but most important of all, respect the locals, who live with the beauty and the inconvenience. There are no elevators, no cars, but just legs and grocery bags. And yet, they still have the time to water their plants and yell lovingly from balcony to balcony, like they're in a soap opera. We wandered through the main street, back towards the train station. But this isn't the end of our journey. Oh no! Because next week, we're heading to Rio Maggiore, the most dramatic of the 5 villages. So hit that subscribe button, give us a like if your legs are also sore from imaginary stairs, and drop a comment if you've been to Vernazza or if it's now on your bucket list.